Okay. So after I was talking to myself for about 5 minutes here, wasting time, wanted to share with you guys a trade idea on Alcoa here. We're looking at bullish maneuvers. We just got a headline last night that said a lot of the European smelters of aluminum are kind of shutting down because electricity is too expensive. Obviously, we've got a pretty much parabolic move gapping up today. But we're breaking into a resistance point where we've got a chance to go and close a gap here. So control range is right in this candle here. And we're right under that right now at $53. Once we crack that, we're at 53.21 already. Probably close the day right around 53.95, somewhere in that neighborhood. Tomorrow morning, we could probably wake up to a gap fill up to the next resistance point, which is about 55.75. And then if we get going into a parabolic trend, continuing from there, our 50% retracement, as well as a big mother bar controlling this, would set a price target up here at about $61. A pretty nice trade, if you ask me. I've already put out an alert on a bullish vertical debit spread, and closing that over the next week or so, if price shot up to about $61, I went with the 70-75 spread at a 40-cent entry. I'm expecting that to about double by about then. That's where the long game is. If that starts to deteriorate for any reason, or if I start to see it get rejected at this pivot point here, I can certainly close it for a minimal profit, and I'll definitely report on that. Next thing I'm looking at is AMD is kind of a bearish trade, I think. Put that up here. So without getting into too many details just yet, let me go to a 2-hour chart. Oh, no, I got the wrong equity. AMD. There we go. I was wondering why my dope was missing. We got a lot of stuff here. All right. So looking like we rejected the 20 period yesterday with a nice tall wick. And ideally, I'd like to see it close into the base of this range. So first target for a bearish trade would be probably an overnight swing trade, looking at target of about 42.45, base of this control candle immediately to our left. And if that does close there, we essentially treat that like a tweezer top, and we can run down to the next pivot point. That control is about 91.80. If we get an extension where this becomes a measured move, that can set the tone for a pretty bearish trend. Now we've got that Jackson Hole thing coming out Friday. Boy, you get J Powell on the mic, things are going to get volatile, and they're talking hiking up the rates a little bit. It's kind of uncertain how the market will react to that, but if we get a bearish tip over past this point on a lot of tech stocks, and a lot of tech stocks look the same, we could be tripping down for a measured move right down to $87.80 or so on AMD. And it just follows the control lines or control candles down in the previous trend. I think we got a pretty good chance at a good bullish or bearish setup on AMD in the short term, and in the long term, we could start seeing kind of unfortunate thing. And if you look at, there's your control bar for the daily here. We could see it start to trend bearish as low as about $85. So definitely some range in that. That's not to say the market doesn't somehow get excited about higher interest rate, and maybe we reverse here and this becomes a bullish measured move. So for now, short term bearish, long term could turn bullish if it bounces off these critical control points. So definitely keep it on your radar. There's definitely a lot of good price action to take advantage of with AMD. It does a lot of good trends. Very, very easy chart to trade typically. Right now, you could probably take advantage of a quick scalp to the bear side overnight hold or whatever, and then bounce it back up at the end of the week. Maybe. We'll see how it goes once we get Friday out of the way. But this can be both. And finally, one more. Let me get into my list of stuff that is active today and see if we can find anything else that looks appealing. I always like to go into my my Webull menu has on the markets, you get the opportunity to kind of sort things into different mixed bags of stuff. Like you can look at what's most active on the NASDAQ. You can look at what's most active on the New York Stock Exchange, as well as the you can go into the S&P. Gives you a pretty good idea of what's moving and what's not. You can also go and just simply do a most active by volume and pretty much run down the list. So let's run down a list. And I like to just kind of plot out what stands out to me. And I can pop open a chart. You can't see it on my screen here, but I can pop open a chart and we can kind of see what we're seeing. I'm going to look at Apple. So here's Apple. Nice strong bull trend. Broke down here yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yesterday some more. We're teetering on that 20 period now. And we've got a control range right below that where we can make a very quick bearish scalp over a couple days. And that guy is right there. This candle from the 3rd. So if we snap over that, we can get a pretty quick little bearish trade of about 160.50. Pretty nice little $5 move. So pay attention to how it closes today. If we close a spinner here, tomorrow is going to be probably a better time to look at the entry. And ideally, we close a spinner or even an inverted hammer underneath that 20 period today. And then we get a breakover and we start going into this control zone. That can be a very quick bearish trade. Also, there's the 200-day moving average right at our price target. So pretty good chance of continuation of our bearish momentum according to our momentum indicator that I like to use, FSTO. That's a fast Deutsch. And essentially, we can exceed down to the lower realms of momentum on that. So looking for a break of the support zone here at that 20 period, at that pivot, and a bearish break tomorrow for that control zone trade. Now, if this starts to go into a trend where you retrace, and typically you do retrace about half the trend, looking at history, we had the bearish trend, we had to bounce back up, not quite to half, but we got in the motion of it. We could set, if the market goes all topsy-turvy by Friday with that Fed minutes there, Fed announcement there, we can pretty much look for the control zone in that trend and figure out about where the middle of it is. Boy, that'd be a cool trade. So I'll probably put an alert out for a bearish put debit spread, vertical put debit spread later on in the alerts channel today on Apple. It'll be preemptive though, because I'm going to wait probably for tomorrow before I enter into that. All right, well, that's kind of about it. I usually put out about 3 very good setups that I prefer to trade, rather than go through and build a list of like 20 that I might trade, if that makes any sense. I look for the better setups. And hopefully I'll be able to do this probably a couple more times this week. And of course, I'll do a little follow-up after this today's stream and get into the rest of our setup for the rest of the week. Friday is going to be kind of an interesting day, though. So just, be aware that there is going to be some volatility on Friday, and we're not quite sure what direction. So if you happen to get into a really good position that does very well overnight today on alerts, if you choose to trade those, just be sure that you kind of have the idea that you might want to take risk off by Friday. Just kind of putting that out there. I know I will be probably mostly cash by Friday because I want to be ready for the move. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good.